Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Dad is in Control podcast. My name is Brian Chauvin, and I'm the founder of Dad is in Control. Before we get started today, I wanted to ask you a favor. Could you please head on over to iTunes or the podcast app and please subscribe and rate and review the podcast? By doing this, you're going to help get us a little bit more exposure, which helps us deliver our message to that much more people that would benefit from hearing it. And now, let's get into today's episode. How many of you people listening to this podcast, how many of you men would describe yourself as the strong and silent type? Wait a minute. Better yet, how many of you men would describe your dads or your grandfathers as the strong and silent type? So here's my perspective on that. So the strong and silent type in previous generations was the symbol of being a man. I mean, John Wayne, right? You had to be quiet and you had to not complain and you just had to do the work and you just had to keep trudging forward. Well, here's the thing about being the strong and silent type. You teach your kids to be the silent type. So what happens is, and our dads, being the strong and silent type, taught us to be the silent type. Now, the problem with being the silent type is eventually you're going to smother all of your other emotions. The silent type, silence will take over and it will spread through you like the plague. You won't be able to utilize your other emotions. And eventually, you're just going to suppress all of the trauma that occurs in your life. All of these instances of high emotional cost will just get pushed down inside of you. And what happens is these instances of trauma and all of this negative energy inside of you are going to manifest itself inside of you in the form of mental health issues such as depression, etc. Now, I once read a quote, and it was actually a great quote that works well in this instance. The quote was, "A man that doesn't understand his own feelings will fall prey to them." Basically, what this means to me is that a man that isn't in touch with his emotions, doesn't understand what's going on inside of him, will be more likely to interact and react inappropriately. So think about this. Instances in your life where you lose your temper or you snap or you get triggered and you react, you scream and you say things that you regret. Eventually what happens is you snap and you come to your senses and you regret these things. Well, this emotional response was triggered by something that was harbored deep down inside of you that potentially you haven't dealt with yet. And we're all guilty of this. But the other side of this silent type is we numb ourselves. Silent people numb themselves. They sedate themselves. They have to hide all of this emotional agony that goes on each and every day. So in order to do this, we turn to things like alcohol, drugs, or whatever, video games or whatever your poison of choice is. And what happens with that, our kids now see us dealing with their issues this way. Our kids are watching us always. And what happens is they now model what we do as what they should do. Let's not talk about our problems. When we're having a bad day, let's just go right to the liquor cabinet, pour ourselves a big old shot of scotch, and just drown our problems away. Well, 5-year-old little Billy is now watching and thinks that this is how we deal with the world's problems, that it's okay to do this. So today I'm going to take a second and I'm going to teach you a way that you can reacquaint yourself with these emotions, how you can take back control of feeling these emotions so you don't have to be numb, so that you don't have to sedate yourself anymore. So the first step is get out a pen, a paper, a journal, whatever it is, and make a list of the 5 most painful moments in your life. And I want you to write down how you feel about it and go into great detail. Now, the second step is, once you're done writing about all of these, I want you to go back and review them. I want you to set the mood, maybe a little bit of soft elevator type music, like you'd see in a movie, and reread everything that you just wrote. Give yourself permission to relive that instance, possibly to cry, to feel what you were feeling in that moment. Now, the next step is what you're going to have to do is to share these feelings. In order to completely deal with these feelings, to get these feelings out of you, you're going to have to share these feelings and tell the truth about the pain and what you're feeling. You're going to have to share them with either a partner, a family member, a friend, your wife, someone that you trust. That way they can support you. And what you're doing is you're setting a precedence for yourself to say that it's okay to share these feelings, to get these vulnerable feelings out of you. Now, this is going to be an exercise that takes you a little bit of time. It's going to be something that is not easy at first, but I urge you to follow through with this. And last but not least, hire yourself a coach or a therapist or someone who's a specialist that can help you finish dealing with these feelings that are inside of you. Now, don't underestimate the importance of writing. Don't underestimate the importance of getting these emotions out of you. So what you're doing is you're reacquainting yourself slowly with these emotions. And as you start to recognize them, as you start to feel these things, you're going to be able to start talking and sharing these feelings with your wife. Now, at first, this is going to feel like agony. You're going to feel maybe a little bit embarrassed to share, but this is the type of thing that you need to get out. So when instances of trauma happen, when things happen in your life that you need to share, that you need to talk about, that you shouldn't suppress, that you may need help with, these are the things that you'll be able to ask for help. You'll be able to spread and to deal with immediately, because the things that you don't deal with will get worse and eat away at you. And one thing that you'll find as you progressively become more in tune with your feelings and you progressively get all of these quote-unquote skeletons out of your closet, you'll notice that your relationships get better. You'll notice that you're happier. You'll notice that people notice that there's something different about you. What have you done? This is not a mistake. This actually happens. You start to exude a different confidence, a different clarity about yourself. And that's something that we should all strive for. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you found this helpful. If this is a conversation that you want to continue having, if you want to learn more about how to retake control of your emotions, how to become a better version of yourself, head on over to dadisincontrol.com. Click the button to join the free Facebook group. It's that simple. And finally, guys, if you're a guy that needs help, if you feel hollow inside, if you're sedating, if you are having trouble in your marriage, if you're having relationship issues with your children, if you want to become a better version of you, if you want to level yourself up in all of these areas, head on over to dadisincontrol.com/start. Fill out the application. We have multiple one-on-one spots open right now for coaching. And by filling out the application, you're going to prompt a phone discussion to see how one-on-one coaching will help you level up your life. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you all for listening once again. And until next time, we'll see you on the inside of the group.